I would like to welcome you to this side event where we will discuss the online capacity building program on sustainable energy for islands. So the program was jointly developed by us at UNIDO together with SIDSDOCK and together with the Spanish Research Center on Energy and Environment and Technology. And the program was developed in the context of the global network of regional sustainable energy centers, which we are coordinating here at UNIDO in partnership with various regional economic commissions. My name is Martin Lugmeier. I'm working at the Energy Department and I am the coordinator of this global network of centers. And apart from this, I'm also managing a portfolio of projects which is particularly dedicated to the promotion of renewable energy investments in infrastructure, but also entrepreneurships in small island states. And I myself have quite an affiliation with SIDS because I also worked for some time in Cape Verde prior. And from there, I know how it is important for SIDS to decouple from fossil fuel imports. And I saw also how tremendous change you can make if a government has a high commitment to move forward and also builds the capacities of the local experts, which then will become the driver of this energy transition. And I think here we are already at the topic. So we are talking today about capacity building, qualification and certification frameworks in the context of small island developing states. I would like to welcome our panelists. I will give first a short introduction into the event. Then I will pass on to Ambassador Esther Monterrubia Villa. She is the ambassador and permanent representative for international organizations here in Vienna. And afterwards, we will start a discussion where Mr. Elbinger, the Secretary General of SIDSDOCK, will participate. He's still not in the event, but he will join soon from another event. We'll just start in the meantime. We have also here Mrs. Marisa Marco. She's the head of knowledge management and the training division at CIEMAT in Spain. And we have here Marcos Lafos, head of unit of the electric power systems at CIEMAT. Welcome. And finally, we welcome also Mrs. Sherry Ann Farquharson. So she is the knowledge management and capacity building expert of the Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. She also will join our session soon. So basically, I would like to start with a short introduction and maybe we can take a very recent example, and that is the island of Barbados, because this demonstrates how difficult is the situation currently of many small island development states. So Barbados was just 5 days ago, it was hit by a hurricane, the Hurricane Elsa. Thousands of homes were damaged. At the same time, Barbados, the island, is hit by the COVID-19 crisis. So the COVID-19 crisis is not just a health crisis, it's an economic crisis in the long run, because currently Barbados has 80% decrease of tourism income just because of the health crisis. And this will remain for quite some time like this. And so it shows how important for small island developing states it is to diversify the economies and to become more independent from imports in general, including fossil fuels. So basically, that is also the reason why most of the islands, like also in Spain, they have ambitious goals for renewable energy and energy efficiency. And over the next decades, we will see a rapid shift towards, let's just say, decentralized, flexible, and integrated island power and electric mobility systems. So this change is needed, and it requires also to leapfrog to new technologies and solutions, including ocean energy, battery storage, ocean energy, green hydrogen, and also digital-driven business models. So this magnitude of change needs tremendous amount of investment. I mean, we know the global figures which are necessary to switch to the 1.0 degree scenario. And also islands have to invest a lot in infrastructure, but this is not just in infrastructure, this is also in human capacities. So there is need for a critical mass of young certified energy professionals which will need to drive the transition also in the long term and sustain particularly the investment which will be made over the next decade. So and there comes a bit of challenge, because small island developing states usually they don't have so mature research institutes and training institutes. And it's for many islanders, it's difficult to access such programs. And it's also difficult to study abroad sometimes because it's just expensive. And even though many small island regions have regional universities, it's still a challenge for them to study outside. And also once they study outside, the question is always whether they will come back. So basically, there's a lot of need for tailored training programs also for islands, because islands have a very particular situation. So 2 years ago, we started, because of that, a training program, the development of an online capacity building program, which should support these efforts. Here we worked closely, and we appreciate the support also of the Spanish government for developing this online capacity building program, because with that we wanted to offer a tailored training tool for small island developing states. Thank you, Sherry-Ann, for joining the event. She's from the Caribbean Center. Appreciate it that you're here with us. So this training program is already online. It was started in December 2020, and it's free of charge. And the ultimate goal is that national training institutes in small island developing states are using it and then integrating it as a training tool into their curricula. And basically, this training tool can be accessed by students. They can take the courses free of charge. They get a certificate. They can either do it by self-learning or also by conducted training. So our aim is, together with CIEMAT, is to develop something like a train-the-trainers networks, where then the SIDS themselves training other people themselves. So now this training program, you can access it through our global network of regional sustainable energy centers website, which will be shared with you in the chat. And it has 9 modules. It's about solar photovoltaics, solar thermal, ocean energy, bioenergy, energy efficiency and thermal optimization in buildings, mini-grids, energy storage, and so on. So with that, I would like to give the word to the ambassador, and I learned that you will give your opening remarks in Spanish, and there will be a translation available. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, and good afternoon. I would like, first of all, just to thank UNIDO and the organizers of the Vienna Energy Forum 2021 for their invitation to participate with delivering these introductory remarks in this side event. So I will speak Spanish if you allow me. España contribuye desde hace tiempo a los esfuerzos globales para hacer frente al cambio climático y al cumplimiento de la Agenda 2030, incluido su objetivo número 7 sobre energía limpia y asequible. También estamos comprometidos con los objetivos y el proceso de la Senda de Samoa en apoyo de los pequeños estados insulares en desarrollo, que tienen circunstancias muy específicas, en particular cuando se trata del calentamiento global. Los casos de los archipiélagos Balear y Canario han hecho que las autoridades españolas sean plenamente conscientes de los retos que supone aumentar la cuota de energía sostenible y asegurar al mismo tiempo la calidad y la continuidad del suministro eléctrico. La planificación del futuro suministro energético en España se basa en el Plan Nacional Integrado de Energía y Clima 2021-2030, que define los objetivos de reducción de emisiones de gases de efecto invernadero, aumento de energías renovables y eficiencia energética que mi país adoptará para cumplir sus compromisos en el marco de los Acuerdos de París. El plan incluye entre sus objetivos el fomento de las energías limpias en los archipiélagos, reconociendo, por un lado, el potencial de nuestras islas para liderar su propia transición energética y, por otro, la oportunidad que ofrece su singularidad para encontrar nuevas soluciones tecnológicas y políticas. España, a través de su Centro de Investigación CIEMAT y con el apoyo financiero de la Agencia de Ayuda al Desarrollo, la AECID, ha colaborado con 3 centros regionales operativos de la red global, ECOWAS, CDAO en español, Caribe y Pacífico, en el desarrollo de la iniciativa Soluciones Energéticas Sostenibles para las Islas, que fomenta soluciones energéticas adaptadas a sus necesidades específicas. El compromiso español con el concepto pionero de centros regionales de energía sostenible de la UNIDO viene de lejos, habiendo apoyado con 3 millones de euros la creación del Observatorio de Energías Renovables para América Latina y el Caribe. Posteriormente, España aportó 7 millones de euros para el establecimiento del primer centro regional de la red global, el Centro Regional de la CDAO en Cabo Verde, que ha sido una referencia para los siguientes en el Caribe y el Pacífico. Desde entonces, el apoyo español ha adoptado diferentes formas a través de asistencia técnica o para proyectos específicos de la red global. Entre ellos, nuestras autoridades han priorizado la provisión de capacitación online de alta calidad. La primera iniciativa fue la cooperación con el Observatorio de Energías Renovables para América Latina y el Caribe, para el que se desarrolló un programa de formación de acceso abierto y gratuito por parte del CIEMAT, la Universidad de Salamanca y la Universidad Politécnica de Madrid. Tuvo mucho éxito y más de 27.000 estudiantes de 94 países se inscribieron en sus módulos de aprendizaje en los primeros meses. Más recientemente, España ha apoyado el programa Desarrollo de Capacidades Online sobre Soluciones Energéticas Sostenibles para Islas y Territorios del Pacífico, el Caribe, África y el Océano Índico, proporcionando acceso a conocimientos técnicos y científicos de alta calidad en una amplia gama de áreas, como las energías oceánicas, solar, térmica y fotovoltaica, la eficiencia energética, las redes o la movilidad eléctrica, por citar algunas. Creemos que este programa facilitará la creación de mercados y la innovación en materia de energía sostenible en los estados SID. Las estrategias de capacitación y formación son herramientas clave de desarrollo energético. La formación y el desarrollo de capacidades en materia de energía contribuyen a promover la formación de profesionales para la incorporación al mercado laboral y el desarrollo de proyectos y planes energéticos integrados y eficientes, mejorar e incrementar la inversión en la región, así como la puesta en marcha de iniciativas basadas en tecnologías renovables y de eficiencia energética y facilitar la transición hacia una economía baja en carbono y la mitigación del cambio climático. El Centro de Investigación CIEMAT es un socio ideal ya que dedica grandes esfuerzos a la transferencia de conocimientos, capacidades y resultados de sus actividades, actuando de enlace entre la investigación y los objetivos de interés social. La División de Gestión del Conocimiento es la principal herramienta de las actividades de difusión del conocimiento generado. Me complace, por tanto, que hoy se dirijan a nosotros 2 representantes del CIEMAT, Marisa Marco y Marcos Lafot, y también espero con mucho interés las ideas que presentarán los otros panelistas, Al Binger y la señora Sherrian Farquharson. Por último, me gustaría reiterar que España se compromete a apoyar el desarrollo sostenible de los estados SIDS en los últimos años. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias para las palabras. So thank you very much for your kind words. We appreciate, and particularly we would like to thank you once again for the support of the government of Spain for the global network of regional sustainable energy centers, and also particularly for the development of this important online capacity building program for small island developing states. So basically, we will continue now with the discussions because the ambassador cannot participate in the rest of the discussion. And Mr. Elbinger, the Secretary General of SIDSDOCK, has not joined so far, but I hear that he's joining soon. I would like to turn to Marisa Marco. I mean, Marisa, you have been the leading technical expert and mastermind behind this program. And it would be a pleasure to hear more about about the process. And I think you prepared a short intervention also, which we will listen now. Marisa, you would have to unmute you. Yeah.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So the screen is coming, Marisa. We can see it. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, I know it's coming, but okay. Well, I try to put full screen, but I can. Well, okay. Okay. Good afternoon, dear colleagues on this project, and just I would like to thank Martin and Andrea for this invitation. It's a great pleasure for me to participate in this session based on the online capacity building program on sustainability solutions for energy solutions for islands. This was a project developed during the last years, last 2 years and a half, more or less, and it was developed by CIEMAT. And why CIEMAT? CIEMAT is a Spanish public research center belonging to the Ministry of Science and Technology, and is focused in the areas of energy and environment, and also cover some kinds of technology, some kind of fields and technology. Work mainly in collaboration with other research centers, institutions, universities, also with other business, to transfer the knowledge generated and supporting and encouragement innovation. The main research areas of CIEMAT in renewable energies are photovoltaic, solar concentration systems, energy efficiency in buildings, biomass and biofuels, wind power, storage energy, ocean energy, and environmental application of solar radiation. So we cover most of the areas on RES, renewable energies. So this project is online, of course. It's capacity building program on sustainable energy solutions for islands. Was joint developed by the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, by UNIDO, the Small Island Sustainable Energy and Climate Resilience Organization, SIDSDOCK, and the Spanish Center for Research in Energy, Environment and Technologies, CIEMAT, and it is disseminated through the global network of sustainable energy centers, which cover most of the SIDS countries. The program has been an important contribution to Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, especially SDG 7, which is sustainable energy, SDG 9, which is ICTs, and SDG 13, which is climate change, as well as SIDS cooperation in line with Samoa pathway. So sustainable energy solutions play really a key role in meeting energy demand, the fight against climate change, and the transition to a low carbon economy. So we all are involved in this transition to low carbon economy. Our country and European countries and really all the world. Mitigation and adaptation measures is a top priority of the policies. For example, risk reduction, sustainable development goals, climate change. The capacity building program, which is, let me see, the capacity building program is this. I can move very well with the screen.
We see the screen, but it seems it's not switching the slides.
I can move really the slides in the screen. I don't know why. Okay. Now, well, this is the capacity building program. Now it's available in this link, which is now in the chat. I think Andrea put this in the chat, which is digital learning platform of the global network of regional sustainable energy centers. So in this platform, you can see all the modules developed by the project, which has a general introduction into island energy and climate change, solar thermal system and application for water, heating, industrial processes, grid-connected and decentralized photovoltaic systems, efficient energy use and thermal optimization in buildings and industry, geographic information technologies, bioenergy, anaerobic digestion of organic waste to energy solutions, e-mobility, mini-grids, and ocean energy. So these are the 9 modules developed, but we have developed the project in 3 languages. So you can have these modules in Spanish, in English, and also in Portuguese. So, well, I think for CIEMAT is an opportunity to collaborate, sharing and transferring its know-how and expertise to promote energy sustainability in islands and impulse the growth and capacity development of the next generation, also of tradesmen and women, to learn about climate change. So we hope also participate in other projects. Our greatest expectation is that the results can be of great interest and projection for the centers and regions, and for 6 regions, and the continued cooperation in the future. Thank you very much for your attention, please.
Thank you, Marisa, for providing a short outlook on the program. I think it was a good teaser. Thank you, Marisa. And with that, I would like to turn to Marcos Lafos, Head of Electric Power Systems Unit at CIEMAT. And I understand you will give a short intervention.
Okay, thank you, Martin. And well, I would like to talk a little bit about one of the examples of this program, and in particular is something related to ocean energy, which was one of the topics that we thought it was interesting, in particular for these places, for islands. Islands have some particular characteristics, such well, a large percentage of coast related to the surface, extremely interesting potential located into the ocean, and also, generally speaking, a very high cost of the energy. So these characteristics lead to ocean energy as one of the most interesting alternatives of energy generation, especially in these places. So with those characteristics, we thought it was a good option for training people located in islands in order to improve technology facing to this new type of energies. When we talk about ocean energy, we are talking about converting energy from the waves, from tidal, but also from saline and thermal gradient. So those sources of energy are the ones we are talking. But moreover, the combination of these energies with other renewables, such as offshore wind, reduce also costs in terms of infrastructures and installation. Ocean energies are still in a pre-commercial stage. they are preparing for consolidation. But nowadays, there are an important number of experimental devices and demonstration plants, and they are already operating. So now is the time for improving this development, both the technology, but also for the integration into the grid and into the market. One of the challenges of these energies, and this is something also related to islands, are the climate conditions. We will talk later that there are some issues related to the survivability of these systems into in the ocean. Everyone who has had contact with the ocean knows what I'm talking about. And you, Martin, said before, ELSA is a clear example of this. So just going a little bit more in detail related to this course of energy, of ocean energy, I would like to give some ideas of how this course was organized. The objective was to provide the basis of energy, ocean energy technologies to be applied, in particular, in island areas. The course was designed for technicians and for engineers who had some skills in mechanic and electric systems. And the contents of the course was mainly the basis for energy conversion evaluation and quantification, description of technologies, integration into electric grids, and the stages of industrial projects related to ocean energy. And the materials prepared for this course were spoken videos in a, I would say, friendly presented information, supporting tests as backup with a deep description of the concepts. Also, a complete set of references in order to increase this knowledge if required, and some multimedia context also to support information. Two practical case studies proposed to be solved by the participants, and a final assessment test to evaluate the level of knowledge. I'm talking about a course of a complete number of hours of 16 hours. And what it is, and the expected results, for this course was, on the one hand, to upgrade the skills of professionals of the islands, promoting opportunities for new business and recuperating industrial sectors such as the naval industry that sometimes they have like previous knowledge and infrastructure, but low future perspectives. So these kind of technologies provide new perspective in the future. And also the idea or the objective is to improve the employment in these areas. Additionally, I would like to highlight that the technological development around these marine technologies provide synergies with other industrial sectors and provide further alternatives, always putting an eye on the ocean, not only in the land, and realizing that there's a huge potential for new development and new sources of energy, looking for the sustainability of the islands. And just to finish, one idea is that training in this type of technologies is an opportunity for the islands to maintain professionals interested on living on the island. And although COVID-19 pandemic had very disadvantaged consequences, I would like to say that it is the time and the opportunity to take advantage to the decentralization provided by this pandemic. Many people left the big cities looking for rural areas and even islands. But this is an opportunity to recuperate life in those territories.
Yeah, thank you, Marcos. Also, I think well understood the connection you made between these, let's say, frontier technologies, new technologies, and also emerging industrial sectors like in the blue economy, and how important for small island development states this economic diversification is, and which important role the energy transition plays in that, and also at the same time creating new job opportunities. With that, I would like to turn to Sherry Ann from the Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. The center is quite new, but it has in a very short time already developed quite a pipeline of projects and programs, and some of them are in the area of qualification and certification. Sherry Ann is the knowledge management and capacity building expert of SICRI. And we're looking forward to your intervention from SICRI side. Let us know what SICRI is doing currently in partnership with the thematic hubs in the Caribbean on capacity building, and how you intend also to integrate this online capacity building program.
Okay, thank you so much, Martin. Pleasure being here. Sorry for joining late. The ocean energy discussion was quite interesting and ran a little bit over time. But I'm very happy to share the importance of capacity building in insular context and what we're doing here at the SICRI. So just to set the context, the islands in the region have set various targets for renewable energy installations, and the region as a whole has set a target. And so we at the SICRI, a part of our mandate is to ensure that we do everything we can to help the different islands meet these various renewable energy targets that they have set. And so as we look at meeting these targets and all the plans that we have, the SICRI has adopted from NREL what's called SHRPTIC, and it's really a sustainable development plan for projects. And looking at identifying your sites, your resources, making sure there's an offtake or you get your permits, you select the suitable technologies. But for today's discussion, I want to focus on what we're doing to ensuring that the right teams will be in place to help or different member states achieve these projects. Because without the right personnel who are properly trained, then we end up with projects that may be implemented but not necessarily operated and maintained as they should, and we can't afford for that to happen. And so we are doing various different interventions, working with our thematic hubs across the region. So they've already started to deliver some training for us as we look at our integrated resource and resilience plans. We've had interventions from different thematic hubs, ensuring that the energy sector personnel, as we're doing these plans, are being well equipped to understand and to contribute to the what we call the energy revolution. And the SICRI has developed a 5P principle, and we've woven capacity building into each part of this. So the first P that I look at is a plan. And I mentioned the integrated resource and resilience plans that we're doing for different member states. And the intention is that by 2023, each of the CARICOM member states would have had an integrated resource and resilience plan completed. And as we do these plans, we ensure that we have capacity building as a part of it so that they can better understand the grid networks, they can better understand the different renewable technologies coming onto the networks. And as we, coming out of these plans, we'll have different projects. And so we have our project preparation facility, which is the second P I'll mention. And the project preparation facility is to ensure that we can increase the number of bankable projects. And so we're working with private sector, working with the public sector to give technical as well as to give technical assistance to these projects, as well as helping them with the project development itself, and then also doing matchmaking. But as we're doing these projects with the different developers, when we identify gaps, we are opening up opportunities for training for persons in the different, whether it's private sector or public sector, so that we can improve those persons who are able to operate and maintain and plan for these systems. And we're learning different lessons that will be able to inform policy. And these lessons will be housed in the recently launched CARICOM Energy Knowledge Hub. Also housed in the CARICOM Energy Knowledge Hub is a community of practice. So persons can come with their questions and interact with different practitioners across the region. More importantly, as it relates to the capacity building, is the hub also houses a learning management system. And here we will be partnering. We've already had discussions with Liliana in terms of sharing the projects that have the different capacity buildings that has already been developed for the GNSEC, to have those shared within the CARICOM Energy Knowledge Hub, so that persons can have direct access to these resources that have already been developed. We're not looking to reinvent the wheel where things already exist, and so we believe in partnerships. And that's the fourth P, working with our member states or regional institutions, the international development partners, ensuring that we come together to do what's best for the people, which are the 5P at the center of what we're doing. So they are the human capital. They are why we do what we're doing. And we have to build their resources so that they can be better able to contribute to this well-needed energy revolution. And I will stop there for now. And if you have any other questions, Martin, I'm open. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ariane. Impressive what SICRI has put up in such a short time. With that, I would like to switch to L. Binger. I hear that he could join in the meantime our session. L,
yes,
I think,
Martin,
great.
I managed to figure out how to get in. I don't know what happened to my invite. It was good for the ocean energy session, but then when I tried to come to this one, it kind of malfunctioned. So colleagues, both here in the chat and those listening us, apologies. I know you would have been getting good information from Martin and the rest of the panels.
Great, El, for joining. I know that you have preference for the ocean energy. This was also the reason also why we invited Marcos from CIEMAT, because he is an ocean energy expert.
Okay.
So he will be able to discuss with you also in this session.
Yes.
El Binger, I think everybody knows El Binger in the small island space. He is now more than 40 years. He's a researcher in chemical engineering, biophysics, agronomy, renewable energy, and climate change. He was for a long time also the energy science advisor of the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center and the AECID. And he is the founder of the SIDSDOCK initiative, which is promoting SIDS cooperation between the different small island regions. And he was professor and director of the University of West Indies for the environmental division. And he was also director for the environment division of the Rockefeller Foundation in New York. So basically, El, I want to ask you some questions because you can judge on that very well. When you look now back on your 30 years, what you would say, what has been achieved in terms of capacity building? When you look at today's generation of Caribbean or Pacific experts in leading positions in small island utilities, ministries, and also in the private sector. And based on that assessment, what do you think, what needs to be prioritized for the new generation of experts and managers in small island developing states when looking at the magnitude of change, what is needed? Also, Marcus mentioned the importance to leapfrog into new technologies like ocean energy.
Thank you, Martin. I guess I begin by saying that when I was growing up, I never saw electricity until I was probably about 6 years old. And I remember my first encounter trying to figure how does a switch on the wall puts life in the roof that quickly. And by experimentation, I found out that if you remove the bulb and turn the light on, your finger didn't feel so good if you stuck it in the socket. And I guess that began my experience with electricity. And so I have paid a great amount of attention to the sector. I would say in the early days, electricity then was diesel generators, pretty much as it is now. It was run primarily by expats. Over the years, we have developed a capacity where we have most of our local utilities are now run by people from the region, if not from the countries. And our tertiary institutions continue to do a good job in doing what we would call the normal traditional engineering, mechanical, chemical, electrical, and so forth, civil. But in the areas where we think the challenges are, our tertiary institutions have not yet begun to in any serious, significant way, begin to address those kinds of technical skills. Matter of fact, we have a serious problem in that the number of students graduating from high school and going to universities are declining in terms of their competence in what we now call STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And I'm not sure why that is, but I think at the secondary and primary school level, we're not getting the type of excitement in the young kids that actually allows them or makes them want or desire to go on to study physics or chemistry or mathematics, those areas. And that is very worrying, because if we're not generating the initial skill sets in the young people, then later when they go on to more disciplined areas, it's going to be very difficult. And I do concern myself. So I think for us to cope with the challenges of the future and to have a climate resilient economy in the SIDS, whether we call it blue economy or whatever, we're going to have to change the way our education system is organized. And we're going to have to put a lot more investments in teaching and mentoring our young professionals. And of course, we begin to think about some of the things that we've talked about before, using the internet. Can we make distance education a game changer in the SIDS? Can we basically find a more effective way to train our teachers, that they become better mentors to our young potential scientists and engineers? It's going to take a lot of thinking, because as the COVID-19 pandemic showed, there are yawning disparities in what SIDS have in terms of access to education, and within the SIDS, just how equally diverse is the difference between whether you are born in an urban area with access to education, or you're in some remote island or some wayward part of a bigger island. There are huge challenges. And I think that we need to give this serious consideration by government in how they put in new policies to drive STEM education. And I think, Dan, the best way to explain is there's a old Harvard paleontologist, Professor Stephen Jay Gould. And I remember he was a trustee at the Rockefeller Foundation. And he used to tell us that there is no difference in the capacity of kids born in Manhattan to those born in Papua New Guinea. It's just that the environment in Manhattan will allow for that child a better chance to realize his full potential. We're wasting too many potentially brilliant children in SIDS by not being able to give them the opportunity. And the sad part is we do need them to achieve their maximum capacity in order to make the kind of contribution that our societies need to survive climate change and build a new economy and continue to be more, control of our own destiny, be able to develop our own resources rather than always having to look elsewhere to find the expertise to do this. So I'm worried. I'm very concerned about the future of our societies if we cannot address these challenges to the young people, particularly when you recognize two facts: that in many countries, they are the majority of the population, and two, they come from households where 51% of them are headed by women. And that means they come from very low resource households. So we have serious thinking to do. But so far, we've managed to cope. But going forward, the challenges are much greater. Okay.
Thank you very much, El, for this frank assessment. And with that, I want maybe to turn to Marcos again. Qualification certification takes a long time. Until you see the impact of qualification, there's a good example in Cape Verde. Cape Verde is today a leader in wind power and wind energy. And it also has some of the few, let's just say, independent power producers in the wind energy field, which are owned by local companies, maybe in partnership with an international company, but usually they're owned and driven by locals. So this was a result also of capacity building, which has happened in the 80s when there was training provided by Denmark for Cape Verde. And some of these young experts then became these drivers of this wind power revolution in Cape Verde. I wanted to check now with you because Spain has quite some islands, and some of these islands are quite advanced. During my time in Cape Verde, we organized also North-South cooperation with Cape Verde, and for example, Canary Islands. I know also that Mallorca is currently doing some pilots in green hydrogen and also in ocean energy. And I would just would like to hear from you what is happening in the islands in Spain and how we could use that knowledge also for other islands in the Caribbean, Africa, or Pacific.
Well, very quickly, because I guess we don't have very much time, but in Spain we have two different island areas. One is Mallorca, as you said, but in this particular case there is an submarine electric connection to the peninsula, to the mainland. So that produces a complete different idea of energy integration, resources, etc. Actually, those islands are, let's say, 100 kilometers far from the coast, so that's not very far away from the continent. But in the case of Canary Island, that is different. This is 2,000 kilometers far from Spanish mainland. And in this case, there's no electric interconnection. So whatever needs to get energy from, it has to be from the islands themselves. And in this case, I would like to highlight one issue, which is important. Renewable energy integration, that's like the big issue, like the big idea everyone has in mind. But many people ask, why don't we integrate more and more wind energy, solar, PV energy, whatever green energy Well, the problem is the electric system itself. It cannot support whatever amount of uncontrollable energy as the renewable are. So what is underneath is the electric variables of the electric grids, frequency and voltage. And the ways to control that is not to increase so much the percentage of renewable energies, because we cannot control when the wind is going and the sun appears. We have to adapt this generation with the consumption of people, and that is quite difficult. So there are some ways to solve this, and I would like to talk about energy storage, which is one of the solutions that in many cases, and especially in the islands, is one of the main solutions to solve this problem and to increase the integration of renewable energies. And why the integration of renewable energies is important in islands? Because as I said before, the cost of energy is high, and sometimes this is due to the not very easy delivery of fuels into islands, and sometimes a big dependency from some other places which supply this fuel. I don't even enter into environmental issues, just as an economic and supply problem. And just to give a couple of examples of how in some islands in the Canary Islands this is working, as there is a very famous case, which is one small island, El Hierro is the name, and this was one of the first 100% renewable islands in the world. This is an island completely supplied by renewables. And the way to do that is combining hydroelectric energy with wind energy. And as I said before, how can you manage this? You need something to adapt consumption to generation, because wind generation is not controlled. The key here is that the hydroelectric system has a pumping system, and this is a storage. So from the point of view of when we are talking about this facility, you have the possibility to control your system. That is a good example.
That is also an example how islands could learn from the Spanish example. Thank you very much, Marco. Maybe Marisa, I turn to you. I wanted just to maybe hear from your side in general, because online capacity building programs. So which quality criteria you're using in CIEMAT, and which quality criteria you also integrated in this program for small island developing states, which you think which are crucial? You have to unmute your mic. Sorry, Marisa.
Before starting the project, we have made a review of the energy aspects and singularities of the island regions, especially SIDS regions. And for example, we have studied solar irradiation, we have studied winds, prevailing winds, and we have also studied if they can use ocean energy, for example. And then we talk with the experts about this. Also, we have studied previous works done by, I think, was Irena, about all the island areas. Well, after that, we can say that the quality criteria considered were after developed the models well, the state of the technologies, which is not the same in different islands, the local application of the technologies, for example, depending of the previous studies that we have done, and scientific and technical expertise of our experts in different other projects, and so the model developers they have experience in the area that we are trying to prepare these kind of models, and of course methodological and didactical criteria according the e-learning standards that are also important. We have studied a lot of e-learning projects trying to be in the best knowledge, and also we use our own experience in the previous project in the project that Mrs. Monterrubio said before in the introduction about the project developed in the for Brazil, for the area of Latin America. So I think there were the quality criteria, but of course it's also important thinking that we are trying to improve now, that is the trainers, because if we try to guarantee sustainability, we need trainers. So we need also develop a very good training courses on trainers. We should have experts, local experts, to do this kind of training courses, and then they should multiply the effects in the area, in the local area. So I think this could be the most important aspect that we have introduced in the project.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hear that we have still 3 minutes. Thank you, Marisa. I think this train-the-trainer component is something we would like to work strongly with you over the next year, so that we can create a pool of trained experts in each of the regions, also representing different language groups. And then this pool of trained experts can train others. And with that, we have a critical mass. We create a critical mass which have done these training courses. And with that, I also turn to Sherry Ann, because we hope that SICRI will strongly support these ambitions to do the trainer. I maybe also want to ask you something which is a very unique feature of training in small islands, and that is the challenge of brain drain. So basically, you train people, and afterwards they're leaving maybe the island, they're going somewhere else, and then let's just say not much skills are left in the country. How do you see that in the Caribbean region, and how you will try to address that?
Thanks, Martin. And just to quickly mention, we are definitely interested in the trainers. It's one of the things that we have seen where we always have to look outside the region for training, that we want to change that approach. As it relates to brain drain and for young people leaving, one of the things that we're doing to encourage them to stay within the region is through offering them internships. And so through that process, they become involved in what's happening in the different energy agencies, internships with the SICRI, with other regional partners, working with the national focal institutions, because we recognize that when they get a hold of what is actually available to them within the region, how they can contribute, then we see that we have more of them being interested to stay and continue working. So internships are definitely one of the ways that we see, allowing them to open up their eyes to see what they can do for the region. And also a lot of them leave because of money. So to allow them to see that there are opportunities within the region for you to not just contribute, but also for you to earn. So you don't have to be limited to a small space, but you can get exposure to what else is out there for you. So that is one of the things, but it definitely is a challenge. And so we just have to continue to encourage our young people to see what they can do within the region.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sherry. And with that, we have to close this very interesting session. I would like to thank all the panelists. I would like to thank particularly the ambassador for staying on in the event. And I hope that particularly the young people which are in this course, which are in this side event today, also they're having a look at this training program. It's free of charge. And you don't have to be an islander to do this training. You can also access it if you're from a landlocked country. Okay, thank you very much for this interesting session and see you soon.